All right, welcome back, everybody. This is going to be the weekly recap for the week ending on March 11, 2022. Wow, I know it's been a few weeks since I've done these weekly recaps, but I wanted to make sure that I had this live show running smoothly, so I've been really busy making sure that we had everything set up for that. And so now that I think things are starting to run a little bit smoother, we can start getting back into these weekly recaps. But before we do, let's talk about a couple things. Once again, we are now live on YouTube every morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. and that is a free hour. So you don't have to be a subscriber in order to watch my setups. I will give some setups for our core package, which we do train people on, and that is available on our website at binaryprostrategies.com. Everything that I do is pretty much based off of the core setups, okay? And then I'm adding in as an addition, and it's really as an addition. It's not something that I teach, but I am offering it to my students in order for them to take advantage of the moves that we see on the indices and on the commodities. So whether you trade stocks or you trade Forex or you trade commodities, there is something for everybody, okay? You don't have to just be trading binaries in order to take advantage of these setups, okay? So I wanted everybody to understand that. And also, I'm using something that, and this is not a name that I gave it. This is something that I learned from a very successful trader over 30 years ago. He was a private investor. He was very short term, trading mainly, I think he's trading treasury bonds, but I know he's trading the US 500 back then, and he was extremely successful. I was introduced to him through another gentleman, and he shared his formula with me, and he called it the Einstein formula. No, this is not something that would be for sale. Somebody asked me, would you sell it? And I said I would maybe think about it for $100,000, and he kind of laughed at me, and I mean that sincerely. I don't think I would even sell for $100,000. It is that good. And basically what it is it gives me price level projections and it gives me percentages. So, I'm going to kind of show you what I'm talking about here in a little bit. But if you want to know a little bit more about the Einstein formula, just click on this link right here. When you get if you get my weekly updates, you do get us in an email, and there is a link, so you can go ahead and you can watch that video on YouTube, how I do price projections using the Einstein formula. Okay. Also, this link here will link you to all the live shows I had this prior week. So if you wanted to see how we did in the morning, you've got 4 or 5 of them out there. I think I started on Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. Was it Wednesday? I don't know, Tuesday or Wednesday. But anyway, they are available, so you kind of want to watch that, a recap of that first hour. You can certainly do that. Once again, now after the first hour, for the next several hours, that's only going to be for subscribers. So you would have to be a member, be in our live chat room, and that's when we go into a lot more detail on the course setups. There's a lot more information there. And once again, keep in mind, this is I'm doing this for educational, but more demonstrational purposes, because people kind of like to see things in action, right? It's one thing to say that we did well, but to see it with your own eyes, I think is proof in the pudding, okay? What I do is I do not trade like anybody else trades. I don't use any kind of indicators. I don't use any kind of traditional chart patterns. I don't use candlestick patterns. I don't use support and resistance. I don't use trend lines. I don't use, what else? Gann, Elliott wave. I don't use any of that stuff. Cycles, don't use any of that stuff. Okay, so it's a very unique way of trading. It's something I discovered 30 years ago. I've been a trader for 40, and they're called behavioral patterns. And I think this is really the key to trading. It's the only way to trade because people's behavior is predictable under certain situations, all right? And we can identify that through price patterns, and that's what I have identified over these last 40 years, all right? And they are repetitive, not only in, say, a Forex pair or a currency pair, but they're also, these same patterns can be used across the board. So I could take the same pattern and use it in a stock, or I can use it in a commodity, or I can use it in an indice, okay? I can use it in anything because the patterns are behavioral, okay? People pretty much the same no matter what they're trading. So it's a very, very, these are very, very strong and very strong setups. And they are universal. I call them universal because I can use them in everything. And most people can't say that with anything that they use, right? So, and it's a much easier way to trade too. Trading should be easy. It should be simple. And you shouldn't have a lot of confusion. And that's the beauty of these patterns. It's either it is or it's not, all right? It's pretty, the setup pretty much black and white. What's not black and white is making sure that you're looking at other things as well. And so we teach that as well, how to filter out, how to know. You have to look at markets more in a global format. So in other words, we want to look at correlations between other indices and or commodities or whatever the case may be. So we have a lot more that we look at before we're putting on a trade. We're just looking to increase the probabilities, and that's what it's all about. Trading is nothing more than probabilities. Also, make sure that you sign up for our next free live webinar, which I go in a little bit more about the core strategy, all right, and my philosophy of the markets. And then, if you like to try before you buy, okay, you can sign up. And this is not going to be lasting much longer, okay, but I am going to give you the first 7 days free in the trial room. If you decide it's not for you, just quit. No obligation. You don't owe us anything. If you want to stay past the 7 days, it's only $50 a month, and you'll get access to the chart, so you can watch the course setups. All right, in all of the currency pairs that we trade, and also you're going to get the nightly setups that we put a trade on, and we carry it to the following day. So those have been real popular as well. All right. So let's take a look at our stats for this last week, and then I'm going to show you an example of one of the setups we had this week using the Einstein formula in the ES, which is the E-mini or the US 500. All right. Okay, so here we are. This is based off of just one of the patterns that I teach, and probably one of the most popular. I wouldn't say it's the best, but it's certainly one of the most popular people like to trade, and that is called the path. And it is one of 5 different patterns that I teach you in the core package. And these are going to be based off of what I call naked setups, okay? Because remember, if you've been to the live webinar, you understand that there's multiple dimensions that you must look at before you place the trade. And this is really only looking at the very first dimension. All right, but the probabilities are very strong, even going at a single dimension. And then as you start looking through more and more dimensions, you're increasing your probabilities. But the point that I'm trying to show here is that this particular pattern now has I'm approaching something like 20,000 setups, okay? Since I started this service back in 2019, 20,000, okay? And the percentages are still around 75% as a whole. So I don't know of anything else that has that kind of a robust, and not only that, and staying power. And once again, this goes back 30 years. So there's no doubt in my mind that that this is going to continue to hold up as I move into the future, particularly since I can take the same pattern, see the same probabilities. I could put it on stock if I wanted to, put it on Tesla. It doesn't matter what I put it on. Probabilities are going to continue to be the same. All right. So that being said, these are the 3 main pairs we've been trading this year: the Aussie US, Euro, and the US Yen. I have it broken down per day and also on a weekly basis. And you can see that we're still running, around 75% on average. The nightly trades were a little bit weaker, but that's to be expected. I mean, everything next week, this coming week, I could be up in the 80% in the evening. So remember, we're looking at numbers or probabilities over a big sample of trades. Okay, so the point is that everything is probability based. All right, trading is nothing more than a probability, and the key is you want to make sure that you have you put the probabilities in your favor, right? So anything over 50%, you're starting to lean towards, running those probabilities in your favor. And obviously, if you got up to 100%, which isn't doable, obviously you'd never be wrong. But once again, keep in mind that there is a limit of what you can expect in terms of predictability. And after 40 years of all my research, and from what I have seen other traders, the best you're probably going to do is somewhere around that 75%, somewhere between 75 to 80%, because there is a degree of noise in the market that is not predictable. All right. And so the last thing you want to do is, if you have a losing trade or a couple losing trades, don't get in there and tinker with it, because you're never going to make anything at 100%. All right. I know these are solid. I don't need to change them. I don't need to add anything to it, because I know the probabilities are continuing to be in my favor. Even though I may have a loss or two, it doesn't mean the probabilities are not in my favor. All right. Now, there's a lot of things we can do with those probabilities, right? So if you're trading something, say I'm trading the Aussie US, and this is something I share with my students, but I'll just kind of give you a basic idea. Is, let's say I've been running a little weak on the Aussie US, and it hasn't been real strong. Then I know that it's going to come up to what they call the mean, the bell-shaped curve. So if it's weak, I know the expectation is I'm going to start having a lot more wins, right? Because you got to come up to that 75%. Okay, and so I'm going to have, so that's what happens. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down, and we can certainly add that and take advantage of that as it comes back to its mean, particularly if it's running down around the 50 percentile. Okay, so but that's just one of the things that we look at. But keep in mind that everything is probability, and the key is learning how to trade with probabilities. All right, just because even if I gave somebody say a pattern that was 98% accurate, okay, which doesn't exist, but let's just say that I had something that was 98% accurate, and I'm not talking over 10 trades. I'm talking over thousands and tens of thousands of trades, and let's say it held up at 98%. The majority of traders, particularly new traders, would not be able to make any money with it, because I will promise you, and a lot of you can certainly relate to this, and I certainly related to this when I first started trading, as soon as you have a couple losses, you're looking to filter it out, you're looking to make changes, or you hesitate and you don't take the next trade, right? So the majority of people are not going to be able to handle a loss, because as soon as they have a loss, they freeze up, they freak out, they don't know what to do, and they can't pull the trigger on the next trade, particularly if it comes right away. And so what they do is they typically go through this phase of taking the bad trades and missing the good trades. And had they just stuck with whatever they're trading, they would be ahead. But because of the emotional factor that's involved in trading, then it gets in the way, and they're unable to trade, even though they know that they have real strong probabilities in their favor. But once again, it's not 100%. So as any new trader, the key is that if you want to become a trader, you have to accept the fact that you're going to have losses. All right. And anybody that promises you anything different is not telling you the truth. All traders have losses. Every successful trader out there has losses and will continue to have losses. It's how they handle those losses is the key between, a newbie and somebody that's basically doing it as what I call hobbyist and your professional trader. And also keep in mind that if you want to make a profession out of this, then you have to put in the time and effort like any other profession in order to get good at it. So that means screen time. That means sitting in front of your screen every day and watching price action. And if you're not trading in a live account, which I don't suggest you do, always start off in a simulated account. Make sure you can make money in that simulated account before you even think about risking real money. So you've got to have consistent, success in a simulated account before you even think about putting real money on the line. All right. I don't care if you've been successful over 2 weeks, you think you're ready to go. That's not enough time. You need to give yourself more time. You need to show that you can do it over a month, maybe several months of consistent profits, right? I mean, coming out of it and almost every day you come out green, all right? I'm not talking about green for the week. You're wrong 4 days and you have one big day. I'm talking about green every single day, right? That's what we want. We don't want these wild swings in our account. We want to see that we're fairly consistent and going green on a daily basis. And that's why I'm a big believer in short-term trading. And most of your successful traders that make a living out of this are not position traders. They are very short-term traders. Why? Because that gives them multiple opportunities in order to hit whatever that goal, that daily goal is, right? And become green. You're not going to be doing it if you're a position trader, because you're going to have to hold that position for a long period of time. And to me, that just really doesn't make sense, all right? Because unless you have a huge deep pocket, and you know you can do that with a huge account, most people don't do that. And most of those kind of people are not trying to make a living out of it, okay? They're basically putting on for an investment purpose, and they're looking to hold it for, you know, months and years. And that's really not the style for most people that do this for a living, okay, on a daily basis. All right? So that being said, that's going to be the stats for the week. So let's just jump over here. I'm going to bring up a chart here, and I'm going to show you a trade. And this was actually a trade that we did on the ES on Friday, and it was a couple calls. And if you watch my video, okay, go back and watch some of the videos, you'll be able to see, well, one of these you may be able to see. The other one I think came in after the first free hour. But let me show you a little bit about kind of what to expect and the strength and the power of what we do with the Einstein formula. Once again, it is an added on service, or it's free. I offer it to everybody, all my students, as a way to just pull a little bit more out of the market, and it's super, super strong. And so far, the response has been incredible, and I know a lot of my students are already doing this live and making some incredible money, which you would expect, because, like I said, this is the most powerful thing that I've seen in my 40 years of trading. I learned it 30 years ago, but I've never seen anything that has been this accurate over an extended period of time. And once again, it's like everything else that I use. It's robust. It works across the board, and any kind of instrument I want to apply it to. Okay, so let's take a look at the ES chart for Friday, and I'll kind of give you an idea of what we're looking at here. Okay, so here we are. So here's basically the way it works. In the morning, what I'm going to do is what I have been doing is I'm looking at a number of different indices. I'm looking at the Russell, looking at the Wall Street 30. We're looking at some commodities, gold, silver, crude oil, natural gas. We're looking at Bitcoin. And of course the US 500, which is the small E-mini ES. And so coming in, what I do is I provide you with a buy or sell, and I'll let you know I'm getting a buy or getting a short. And then what I'm going to do is I give you a price projection. Now these price projections, and I can run these back. I've run these back, 20, 30 years, and the percentages are always going to be pretty much the same, somewhere in the 70 percentile in terms of hitting its projection. All right, and so I will get a short. Well, let's say on the ES on Friday, got a short, and I had a projected low down here, and basically what I'm doing is I'm taking a short and then I'm exiting. Now, I do have multiple layers that I can go through, but typically as I start going lower in my projections, the probabilities go down. So my first level is always going to be the highest probability, and I know what the probability is. Now, if I don't hit a projection, okay, I do have a stop and reversal up here. And so if for some reason I do take a short, and let's say for some reason it doesn't hit my profit potential, then what I'll do is I will reverse and go long, and then that will give me another level, okay? And once again, probabilities can continue to be the same. So over a long period of time, I am going to come out ahead by just trading these levels, okay? Now, there's a lot of different ways to trade them. I do go into that a little bit more detail. Also, if you watch that free video on YouTube, I talk a little bit about how I do that, but there are conservative ways of trading this, and then there obviously are more aggressive ways of trading this. So that was one of the trades, and then I had a nice one in the afternoon where we had a buy coming in, and we had a projected high. And you can see these are 5-minute bars. So, the thing is that it could take, 20, 20 minutes or so, right, before it hits that level. But we bought it, we just held. We never hit a reversal, and we had profit. So Friday, once again, as all this week, has been just super, super good with our price levels, and they do work across the board. So I do look at crude oil, I look at natural gas, I look at, like I said, I look at other indices, and I look at the commodities. It's really good in gold, it's good in silver. I mean, it's really good in everything, okay? But the key is that if you join us in the morning and you watch, I suggest, even though I may be calling out multiple ones at the same time, let's say I may get a short on the ES, I may get a short on the Russell, I may get a short on the Wall Street 30. Doesn't mean, and nor do I recommend people trade all of those, okay? The way that I suggest with my students is you find one you like, and if you like the US 500, stick to that and just focus on that. You can do very, very well. You don't have to diversify with this approach, all right? And in fact, it's better, particularly if your account is smaller, not to diversify with this approach. Stick to one, maybe two at the most, and go from there. So that's pretty much it. So you'll see this more in action this week as we continue on with the live show. Once again, be sure to join us every morning Eastern time. It's going to be 9 to 10. That first hour is going to be absolutely free. You can join us even if you're a non-subscriber, and then after that, for the next few hours, we continue on only with our students, and we continue those projections for an additional 2 hours. All right, and that is going to be it. I want to wish everybody a great trading week. A lot of good volatility in here, so this is the time you want to be stepping it up a little bit and taking advantage of this high volatility, okay? So just some really awesome opportunities right now. So be sure that you're trading. If you're a short-term trader, definitely in the mornings have been just super strong, and even in the evenings have been really good. So two really good times to start hitting those targets, maybe even increase your targets a little bit and try to get a little bit more out of your your profit target for the week, because these are the kind of markets that we thrive in. So that being said, everybody have a good week. Any questions, go to binaryprostrategies.com. You can get a hold of me that way. Check me out on YouTube, binaryprostrategies.com. And we will see everybody next weekend. Take care.